G'day legends. I was mastering a song earlier this week and I think I stumbled upon a really cool technique, a little bit of a hack if you will. And I'm not sure that I've seen anyone else post anything about this particular hack that I'm about to show you. And I thought, you know, this is a really cool technique. I could guard this little secret and keep it for myself.
It's mine. My precious.
But I thought, nah, I'm not going to gatekeep this stuff. I want to get it out to you guys so that you can use it if the chance ever arises. So this song that I was mastering, the client had a really specific request that the vocals be de-essed considerably. They said it was a really big problem in the mix, but they didn't have access to the actual mix anymore. So I just had a stereo file to work with. Now you can imagine, I'm kind of thinking, well, there's limitations with a stereo file as to how far you can push it with that stuff, because the other part of the request was to not affect the rest of the track with that de-essing. So obviously anything you do to a stereo file in mastering happens to that whole file. So when you're trying to de-ess a vocal on a stereo file, that's going to affect everything else. So you have to be subtle about it. Now, if you're trying to do big moves, really kind of get in there and de-ess a vocal hard, you're probably going to hear that across the rest of the track. And so this hack that I'm about to show you is all about de-essing a vocal in the mastering stage and taking it further than you probably think is possible. Now, there's already a couple of techniques and plugins out there that you can use to de-ess vocals in mastering, and again, to an extent, before it starts causing issues. Now I'm going to quickly show you these usual mastering de-essing techniques before we jump into this new one that you can try out. So one way that you can try and de-ess a vocal is with EQ. So you can try and locate the frequencies where the sibilance is and then cut those a little bit.
I've tried to escape, but I keep running in circles, I can't.
So you can see right around here. So we can just add a little bell here, maybe even just change the octave range so it's like a little bit sharper on the edges. And then if your vocal's primarily down the center of the mix, you can put this into mid mode, so you're only affecting the mid channel.
I wish I knew why you get me so damn high, 'cause the thought of coming down has got me terrified.
So that's a small move, 1.5 dBs. Obviously, if you start pulling it down further, 3 dBs, you're going to really start to notice that the track kind of gets a little bit duller.
On me. I wish I knew why you get me so damn high, 'cause the thought of coming down.
So effectively, we are de-essing the vocal, but we're pulling out some of that brightness out of the mix, which is maybe not what we want to do. And I've seen people combat this by doing a boost to the sides. So we'll just mirror that and boost it up on the sides, 3 dB.
I wish I knew why you get me so damn high, 'cause the thought of coming down has got me terrified.
But the track still sounds pretty different from that move. It's not just de-essing the track, it's changing the tonality of the master as well. So that's not really a technique that I would go for. Now you could try dynamic EQ. So let's just keep that band there. Let's reset it and put it into dynamic mode. Let's see how this goes.
I wish I knew why you get me so damn high, 'cause the thought of coming down has got me terrified.
So it doesn't really just pick up the S's though. Like even with trying to set the threshold here, we're mostly getting snare hits. Probably not a technique that I would particularly use to try and de-ess vocals, but I have seen this technique shown on YouTube, but I really don't think it's the best way of de-essing vocals on a master. So for me, EQ, dynamic EQ, doesn't really do the job that I want to hear. I did see someone using Pro Q4 and using the spectral dynamics to de-ess a vocal on a master, but there wasn't any audio in the video. They were just kind of showing it. And it did look cool, but obviously couldn't hear what it was doing, but that could possibly work. Next technique, multiband compression. So in Pro MB, there is a setting for vocals de-esser. Let's just load that up. We've got a shelf at the moment, and this little band here is going to be what triggers the compression. So let's just try and find those S's again.
I wish I knew why you get. Is it all in my head? I keep thinking it over. Is it all in my head?
So you can see again, the snare drum's just triggering this before the S's and T's. Like I can't get this to de-ess the vocal without affecting the drums, which is a problem because I like the sound of the drums. I don't want to affect those. This can work if the S's and T's were like really jumping out of the mix. This could help a little bit, but they'd have to be a lot louder than the brighter elements of the mix. And in that case, then it might work. But in this song, if I was trying to de-ess it a little bit, this technique's not working very well. Now I'm going to show you the plugin I would normally use if I was going to apply a little bit of de-essing to a master. So this next one is the EASYCORE de-esser, and if you have the Slate Digital All Access Pass, then you have this plugin. And basically it's just a preset under mastering, master lead vocal de-essing. And this is an amazing preset because this will de-ess the vocal without picking up the drums. So check this out, this is pretty cool. You just have to play with the sensitivity and the amount and the mix to really dial this in.
I've tried to escape, but I keep running in circles. I can't seem to break this hold that you've got on me.
So around 22%, I can get this working on the S's and T's that are really jumping out of the mix without affecting that snare drum. So I think that's pretty good results. And then you can obviously push this down further if you want to de-ess it harder. You can push the amount up if you really want to get this de-essing heavier, but obviously you're trying to be subtle when you're using it on a stereo mix. So that's pretty much kind of what I would typically do. Now for this song, that wasn't enough. That wasn't going to be enough to satisfy what the client wanted. And so I was thinking, how can I go about like de-essing this vocal that is part of a stereo file? And then I remembered that Logic has the stem splitter feature. So if you have a Mac with a silicon chip in it and you've got the latest version of Logic, then you have this AI stem splitter built in to your DAW. So this is where things get pretty cool. And it's actually really simple. All you have to do is come up to functions, make sure you got your track selected, and then just hit stem splitter. Okay, you can choose the options of what you want split. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. Look how fast that was. All right, so we've split our song now into stems. Okay, so that stereo file is now vocals, drums, bass, and everything else. Is this going to ruin the fidelity of the track now that I have split it? I think we just need to do a quick A/B between the stereo file and the stem split file, and let's just see if we can hear a difference, okay?
I've tried to escape, but I keep running in circles. I can't seem to break this hold that you've got on me. I wish I knew why you get me so damn high, 'cause
it sounds pretty identical. Like if there's a small difference there, it's really quite small. So that's pretty cool. So we split it out into separate stems, but we've still got the quality there. Now, if we listen to these stems separated, let's have a listen to what we got. You know, the drums, they got a weird thing going on with the high frequencies. So they're kind of weird on their own, the bass. Bass sounds kind of weird too, it almost sounds distorted. Guitars are like a little bit wobbly. You can hear there's like weird fidelity stuff going on. Let's hear the vocals.
tell me now if you're just playing games.
Okay, so again, the vocals sound a little funny on their own, but the thing is, it's kind of like a puzzle. So you can hear it sounds a little quirky, each sound, but when you play them all together, the puzzle just comes back together. So all of those little like high frequency things that kind of go missing in the split out stems, they're just in the other parts of the tracks. I don't know how it all works, but when you put them back together, it sounds whole again. So we don't need to worry too much about the fact that each stem sounds a little funky on its own, because we're not separating them and using them individually. We're still wanting that whole picture of them together. So don't stress too much about the fact that they don't sound right on their own. Just worry about the fact of how it sounds when they're all played together. And when they're played together, it sounds good. So what this means now is we have the vocal separated from the track, and we can de-ess this however we want. So this is a game changer if you need to really de-ess a vocal hard and all you have is a stereo file to work with. So let's try this out. I'm just going to pull up a de-esser and we're going to just rein in some really decent de-essing on this vocal and see how it goes. So again, I'm just going to use that setting in Pro and B, the de-esser. We're going to make it into a little bell shape here. So it's like not like a full shelf, and just try and focus in on that sibilance. Let's listen to it in solo.
I've tried to escape, but I wish I knew why you get me so damn high. Cause the thought of coming down has got me terrified.
Okay, so it sounds weird on its own, right? Let's listen to this in the mix now.
I've tried to escape, but I keep running in circles. I can't seem to break this hold that you've got on me. I wish I knew why you get me so damn high.
That's pretty crazy, right? I'm doing like 10 dBs of de-essing right here in this master. And this is kind of like a game-changing technique, in my opinion. Like, I know it's kind of like such a lame term, but if you can't get back into the mix and make this change, all you have is a stereo file to work with, then this is amazing. Being able to split out the stems, treat a vocal there and then, and still have the fidelity of the track. That's pretty cool. So have a listen to what would happen if I tried to de-ess that much on just a stereo file.
Got me terrified. Is it all in my head? I keep thinking it over. Is it all in my head?
So it really sucks all of that high frequency out of the track if I tried to do that kind of thing. Even if I used my E² de-esser trick and I just push that harder, I think we're still going to hear some issues come out of that.
Is it all in my head? Yeah, tell me now. Are you gonna stay?
You can hear the whole track go, like get sucked down because it's affecting everything. It's not just finding the vocal and turning that down, it's turning all of those frequencies down for that brief moment. So that's why you can't go hard on de-essing a vocal on a stereo file. And that's why this stem splitter trick is amazing. So I haven't seen anyone kind of talk about this as a technique before, but this is a really great way of being able to dive in and fix things. And so while this is an awesome technique for de-essing vocals in a mix, splitting the stems out gives you the option to adjust levels a little bit as well. So for example, let's say the drums were a little too loud. We could come down here, we could pull the drums down a dB. Maybe we want to hear like a little bit more bass, maybe a little bit more guitars, and maybe the vocal's just a bit loud, so we'll just pull that down a bit. As well as our de-essing, and then we've got a new balance here.
I've tried to escape, but I keep running in circles. I can't seem to break this hold that you've got on me. I wish I knew why you get me so damn high. Cause the thought of coming down has got me terrified. Is it all in my head? I keep thinking it over. Is it all in my head? Yeah, tell me now.
That's pretty crazy. And I know you can do a bit of this stuff in like Ozone 11. It's got like a rebalance tool, so you can like tweak elements like drums, push them up a bit, pull the vocals down, whatever. Like you can do that stuff, but to have this available in your DAW, and I know there's a bunch of DAWs that have a stem splitter feature in it now. This is just one of the reasons why AI is not as bad as kind of like everyone makes it out to be. Sure, there are some AI applications out there that are used and abused and, you know, it's not great. But this is one of those instances where AI is just an awesome tool, being able to split stems out of a stereo file and then be able to fix things, tweak things, and still have a good sounding track at the end of it. That's awesome. So if you enjoyed this video, you think this is a cool little hack, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support this channel, make sure you check out the link in the description below. Head over to my website, pick up a sample pack, check out one of my mixing courses. Any of that stuff really helps support the time that goes into making videos like this. And if your DAW doesn't have a stem splitter built into it, or maybe you have a computer that doesn't have the processing power to handle using that AI application, there are some online applications like Muso.AI. I did do a demo of that recently, and it's quite a good online application. So if you want to check that out that next video coming up.